All right, so Valentine's Day is approaching soon, and I always told myself and told others that I'm gonna be doing movie reviews and things of that sort, and I always procrastinated and put it off. But now that I have a little bit more time on my schedule, I chose to do my first movie review on Netflix's Malcolm in Marie. Now, before you get on my back about the things I'm going to say about this movie, please know that I'm not necessarily a film critic. I just watch a lot of movies and I analyze and pinpoint things that I like and don't like about the movie. So these are just my opinions. So please do not tear me up in the comments about what I think about the movie. It is just my sole opinion and how I feel that the movie is trying to interpret itself or send a message. Now, the movie Malcolm in Marie is directed by Sam Levinson, whose work I'm not necessarily familiar with. I do know he directs the show Euphoria, and he's directed Another Bad Day. I really haven't watched any of his work, so this will be the first time I dip and dive into a film of his. And honestly, I really can't say anything about the director because one, I haven't seen his work, and two, this is my first film I've seen by him, and three, the performances really took me away from his shine overall as a director. No disrespect to him, he's probably a good director. I'm just really not familiar with him. Before I go into a brief review of the film, I'm going to let you know that there are some spoilers. So if you haven't watched the movie and don't want anything to be spoiled, please go watch it. It's on Netflix. And here we go. The film Malcolm in Marie stars both John David Washington and Zendaya. John David Washington's character plays Malcolm, who is an aspiring film director, writer, screenplayer, however you want to slice it. And he's basically just the man that definitely wants his skills to be showcased and not misinterpreted, as you can see later on in the film. The way Washington emulates his character throughout the film is amazing. You can definitely see the emotion while he's monologuing as well as exchanging his words with Marie. And the funny thing that I really noticed while watching the movie was how much he sounds like Denzel in his monologues. It is crazy how similar they sound when they're acting. I mean, of course he's his son, but at the same time, it's just funny to see how similar their monologues sound in their dialogue when they're going through their characters.
You are by far the most excruciating, difficult, stubbornly obnoxious woman I've ever met in my entire life. I fucking love you.
I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. Zendaya's performance really surprised me in this movie. It was kind of weird to see her in a role like this from her being in Shake It Up and other films like that. Now granted, I haven't watched any of the show Euphoria, so her performance in there may be similar to what it is in here, but in this film, it was very, very surprising to see just the growth and range that she has as an actor in her performance as Marie. On face value, this film pretty much just depicts toxic relationships in a nutshell. From face value. While people watch this movie and may think that it's generally about toxic relationships, they're not wrong at all. It definitely just depicts how toxic relationships works. I hate you, I love you, back and forth, back and forth. However, as I was watching the movie, I went deeper into the roots of generally what the film is trying to convey as far as Malcolm and Marie's relationship. Now, the movie opens up with Malcolm and Marie coming home from a private film screening or a film festival where Malcolm's film is being shown and he talks to critics and whatnot. You can see Malcolm's character going on and on, basically monologuing about how great the film was and how everybody loved it and how the critics loved it. And he feels that he got his message across from what he had wrote in the film and what he had showcased. As you can see, Marie's character is really disinterested in the conversation. She's mad. You don't know what's wrong yet, but you can definitely tell that she's really not into what Malcolm is talking about at the moment. Then we transition into our first argument. Marie's character is primarily mad because at the ceremony or film festival or a private screening, whatever it is, Malcolm's character does not thank her because the movie that Malcolm is showing basically depicts the story of Marie's life. And she feels as if they weren't together, that movie wouldn't have happened. And rightfully so, Malcolm admits to it. There's a question about if they weren't together, would the movie been as good? And he tells her no. Then it transitions into a bigger argument, words are said, blah, 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 but then they're back to being at an understanding. And generally, it's like this for the whole movie. They go on and on, back and forth to each other about who's wrong, who did this, who did that. But they ultimately come together and understand that they need each other more than they realize. Now, one thing that I definitely liked about the movie was how they express their emotions through music in a way. For instance, at the beginning of the film, Malcolm's character walks in after the screening and instantly plays Down and Out by New York City by James Brown. And as he's monologuing, you can just tell how lively he is, just like the song, and expressing his feelings toward the film and how he feels like it's a success. After the argument, and he realizes he's wrong for not thanking Marie, he plays William Bell's I Forgot to Be Your Lover. After the second argument that Marie has won, in my opinion, she plays Donnie Warwick's Get Rid of Him. And in doing this, I felt like they were trying to depict that they can't really say anything nice to each other after these arguments. They can only do it through music. Along with this, there are shots that depict how much they need each other and how much they gravitate towards each other. After arguments, you can see both characters take their turns in walking out, and it makes it seem like they're literally just gonna walk out from the relationship. As they should. There are some really hurtful things that are being said in these arguments. And in my opinion, I'm thinking that they're gonna leave, but they can't. Which brings me to my next point. The film is edited to be in black and white, which I do not think is a coincidence. As the film goes on, I get to thinking in my head, yin and yang. As the saying goes, opposites attract. No matter how opposite they are as characters, they both gravitate towards each other because they need each other more than they know. And no matter how many times they go back and forth, it's always going to be them together. I also don't think it's a coincidence that both characters' names start with the letter M. Malcolm and Marie, yin and yang. You see where I'm getting at here? Ultimately, as I said before, they go back and forth until the next morning. And it transitions into the morning time. Then Malcolm's character thinks Marie is gone, but she is just outside, and he walks out. And then Outkast's Liberation comes on, and it cuts to black. Now, again, symbolism. The first lyrics of Liberation are, there's a fine line between love and hate. And Malcolm and Marie's characters are staggered on that line. They both know each other more than anyone else, and they can't help but love each other or be together even through their own flaws. This is why they can't get away from each other no matter how toxic they are. They gravitate towards each other, and it's kind of just inevitable. Now, things that I not necessarily didn't like, but think viewers can probably dislike, the film kind of feels like a super long take of dialogue. Now, I necessarily didn't find it that much of a problem for me, but there were some times where I kind of just got distracted and just kind of found out, okay, this is going on for too long, what's next? Them going back and forth the way that they do can probably get tiring for the audience because they've seen it before a million times. And along with that, a lot of people are probably going to think they need to leave each other. But overall, as a film, I liked it. It was definitely different from what I'm used to, but it is a good film. If I had to give it a rating, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of difficult. I would say a 7 out of 10. It was close to being a 6.5, but the performances gave it a 7. If you are new to the channel, please do me a favor and subscribe. I'll be doing a lot more reviews, and I'll also be doing behind the scenes of my own work. So if you click that icon and please click the bells, that would be much appreciated. And stay tuned for next week. I will be doing my best movies from the last 10 years. This is definitely something you don't want to miss. I'll be going in depth between why these movies are my top movies and also why I like them. But if you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much. You're a real one. I appreciate you. And stay safe out here.